2023, the deep-sea drone Artemis went silent. But not before it sent back one last image, a single frame showing an impossible color. You are looking at the Atacama Trench, 7,500 meters below the waves. The pressure here is over 11,000 pounds per square inch, enough to turn steel into scrap. It is a world of absolute black, or it was. The final image from Artemis showed a light, a soft pulsating violet glow. Think about that for a moment. In an environment where only blue and green light can effectively travel through water, the drone saw purple. Physics says this light shouldn't exist here. It should be absorbed within meters. The official report from the expedition's funders was quietly published 2 months later. Their conclusion? Instrument malfunction. A convenient, tidy explanation. But here's the part nobody talks about. The report is wrong. 2 weeks after Artemis vanished, a second drone named Orion saw the exact same thing, 500 kilometers to the north. And then it, too, went dark. This was not a glitch. It was a pattern. The data from Orion was never made public, and no official record explains why the mission was abruptly terminated. This is where the public story ends. But the real one was just beginning. Using classified thermal imaging satellites, a small team at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution started noticing something strange. Faint energy signatures, not from the surface, but radiating up from the abyss. Someone cross-referenced the coordinates. You can probably guess where they pointed, right to the last known locations of Artemis and Orion. And now there are dozens more. The glow isn't just spreading, it's growing stronger. Analysis of the energy output shows a 400% increase in just the last 6 months. A cold, dead part of the world is suddenly producing enormous amounts of energy. And it's radiating a color that breaks the known rules of biology and physics. So the question isn't just what is making the light. The real question is, what happens when the abyss awakens? To understand what happens when the abyss awakens, you first have to understand the language it speaks. And that language is light. Life has been making its own light for over 1 billion years. You've seen it, a firefly's soft pulse on a summer night. Down here, in the crushing dark of the Bathyal Zone, an estimated 90% of all life is bioluminescent. It is a world of living lanterns, a silent cold fireworks display that never ends. The chemistry is elegant. A molecule called luciferin meets an enzyme, luciferase. The result is a photon, a single particle of cold light created without heat. But almost without exception, that light is blue or green. These are the long-distance runners of the visible spectrum. They cut through the dense water for hundreds of meters, announcing a warning or a lure. Purple light? It's a sprinter. It carries immense energy, but it tires almost instantly. Water absorbs its wavelength within a few feet. For an organism to use purple light to be seen is like trying to shout a secret in a hurricane. It is the most inefficient choice nature could possibly make, which leads to an unsettling question. Why choose it? On August 11, 1934, 2 men decided to see this world for themselves, naturalist William Beebe and engineer Otis Barton. They squeezed inside a cast-iron sphere just 1.44 meters wide, named the bathysphere. Think about that. You are sealed in a cold metal ball, dangling from a single, groaning steel cable, descending into an alien planet that exists on your own. Their logbooks, parts of which were never officially published, describe what they saw. A BB road of living constellations and luminous explosions of pale blue. They documented hundreds of light sources on their record-breaking dive to 923 meters. Blues, greens, faint yellows. Not once did they write the word purple. The official story celebrates their courage. The part they don't tell you is how close they came to vanishing. On their final dive, the bathysphere began to leak, a tiny jet of water entering with the force of a bullet. They saw the light, but they almost didn't come back to talk about it. What we are seeing in the Atacama Trench is not what BB saw. This is new. The energy required to generate this purple glow, and for it to be visible to a drone's camera from meters away, is enormous. An anglerfish's lure produces about 1/1000th of a watt. To create the purple field detected by the drone Artemis, you would need the light output of a small city. A single creature can't do that. But a coordinated colony of trillions? And here's where the data from Woods Hole gets strange. The 400% energy increase in 6 months isn't a steady rise. It comes in pulses, massive spikes of activity lasting for days, followed by periods of relative quiet. It's growing. It's coordinating. And no government agency is talking about why. After the loss of Artemis and Orion, all official expeditions to the area were halted. The public record stops there. But a private consortium funded by anonymous backers has been analyzing the faint light that manages to reach the surface. They used a technique called spectral analysis, breaking the light down into its component frequencies, looking for a chemical fingerprint of the life form creating it. They didn't find a chemical signature. They found something else entirely. Hidden inside the steady purple glow was a flicker, a pattern, too fast for the human eye to see, but perfectly clear to a computer. It's not random. It's a complex, repeating sequence of pulses. Mathematical, structured. The abyss isn't just glowing, it's transmitting. This changes everything. We've been asking what is making the light. But the real question is, what is it trying to say? For 3 months, that question consumed a team of cryptographers working in a secret facility outside Geneva. The project was codenamed Rosetta. Its mission, translate the abyss. The data they had was a fragment, a few minutes of flickering light captured before the drone, Orion, went silent. They ran the sequence through every decryption model known to science. Nothing. The pattern was more complex, more information-dense than anything they had ever seen. Think about this. The entire English language has a data density of about 1.2 bits per character. The purple signal from the deep? It clocked in at over 400 bits per millisecond. It wasn't just a message. It was a library, broadcast in a flash. But what library has no index, no key? For months it was just noise. Beautiful, structured, impossible noise. And here's the part nobody was supposed to know. While the public was told about instrument malfunctions, the U.S. Navy quietly established a 200 nautical mile exclusion zone around the Atacama Trench. They called it a maritime training exercise. It has been in place for 8 months. No ships in, no ships out. Why blockade a dead zone in the middle of the Pacific for a training exercise? The official reports offer no answers, because the questions themselves are classified. Then the Rosetta team got a break. It didn't come from a government lab. It came from the black market. A Russian deep-sea mining survey had been operating in the region before the exclusion zone was established. Their submersible pulled up a geological sample from 7,800 meters. The rock was coated in a thin purple film. Under an electron microscope, you see it. A sprawling crystalline structure, a microbial mat. But it's not alive in any way we understand. Carbon-based life uses DNA, a double helix. This life form uses a silicon-based crystal lattice. It doesn't eat, it doesn't breathe. It metabolizes rock itself, converting minerals directly into energy through a process scientists can only describe as solid-state chemosynthesis. The purple glow? It's not a signal, it's the exhaust, the waste product of a life form that eats stone. This changes the entire equation. The team in Geneva had been trying to translate a language. But what if there was no language? No intent, no sender, just a biological process on an unimaginable scale. Imagine trying to find a hidden message in the light from a forest fire. You might find patterns, you might see mathematics, but you'd be missing the point. And the fire isn't trying to tell you anything, it's just burning. And this fire is spreading. Satellite thermal scans leaked from an anonymous source inside the European Space Agency confirm it. The deep water temperature inside the exclusion zone has risen by a steady 0.8 degrees Celsius. The salinity is dropping. The very chemistry of the ocean is being rewritten from the bottom up. The official story is that this is a natural volcanic vent system, a known phenomenon. But vents don't emit structured mathematical light patterns, and they don't grow at an exponential rate. The cover story doesn't fit the facts, and nobody in a position of power is asking why. The Rosetta team was about to be shut down, their funding pulled, their work dismissed as a misinterpretation of a natural event. But on their final night, one of the junior analysts, Dr. Eris Thorne, ran a new algorithm. He stopped looking for a language. He started looking for a blueprint. He theorized that if the light was a byproduct of the organism's metabolism, then the structure of the light might reflect the structure of the organism itself. He was right. Hidden inside the noise was the key to its crystalline structure, a repeating geometric pattern. The team could now model it, watch it grow. And they saw something terrifying. The colony wasn't just expanding randomly. It was something, a vast connected network across the sea floor, each glowing patch a node in a continental circuit board. The signal wasn't a message being sent. It was the system turning on. The system was turning on. Think about what that means in practice. Any system, from your car's engine to a star, needs fuel to run, and every system produces exhaust. The models Dr. Eris Thorne created showed that as the crystalline network activated, its energy consumption began to skyrocket. Its metabolic process, the one that converted rock into energy, had a devastating side effect. It was stripping dissolved oxygen from the water at a rate never before recorded in Earth's history. For every ton of rock it consumed, it rendered thousands of cubic meters of seawater completely lifeless. A process called anoxia, the total absence of oxygen. And here's the part nobody talks about. The official story from the government consortium still claims the changes are due to natural volcanic activity. But Thorne's leaked data, published on a secure server just hours before his credentials were revoked, showed the oxygen-depleted zone was expanding at 15 square kilometers per day. That isn't a leak, it's a hemorrhage. This story is no longer about strange lights in the abyss. It's about the air you breathe. Half of the Earth's oxygen comes from its oceans, from phytoplankton, a microscopic engine that powers the planet. And that engine is beginning to stall. To understand the cost, you have to leave the lab in Geneva. You have to travel 10,000 kilometers to the coast of Peru. Meet Mateo. He is a third-generation fisherman. His hands tell the story of his life, scarred by hooks and hardened by salt. For 40 years, he has cast his nets into these waters, the same waters his father and grandfather fished. He knew their rhythms, the silver flash of the anchoveta and the deep red of the Humboldt squid. Now he knows only silence. His nets come up empty, not with fewer fish, with nothing. The water itself feels different, colder, heavier, sterile. In the nearby port of Callao, hundreds of boats now sit idle, their paint peeling under the relentless sun. The fish markets, once overflowing with the morning's catch, are quiet. The official explanation is a shift in ocean currents, a particularly strong El Niño event. Mateo doesn't believe it. At night, he sees a faint violet haze on the horizon, a color he has never seen over the water, a color the old stories never mentioned. What the fishermen of Peru are experiencing is the first tangible impact of the expanding anoxic zone. It has risen from the Atacama Trench and is now suffocating the continental shelf. The very foundation of the marine food web is being erased. Dr. Thorne predicted this. His final unpublished report contained a chilling map. It showed the anoxic zone reaching the surface waters off South America by this year. He was dismissed as an alarmist. His model was called catastrophist fiction. But Mateo is living in that fiction. He is living in the empty pages of a report someone decided you should not see. And now, for the first time, the problem is no longer 7,500 meters down. It has reached the world of the sun. Last week, Mateo pulled up his nets one last time. They were not empty. They were coated in a shimmering purple film, a crystalline dust that crumbled in his hands. It's here, in the water his children swim in. The abyss is no longer below. It is all around you. And when one world begins to die, another is often waiting to be born. Think about that for a moment. We have treated this event as an invasion, a threat, a silent creeping death rising from the trench. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? Dr. Aris Thorne, the analyst who first saw the blueprint in the light, sent one final encrypted file before he disappeared from the public record. For months, its contents remained a secret. We have that file now. It doesn't contain warnings of apocalypse. It contains a single, breathtaking image, a simulation. Using the patterns from the purple light, Thorne didn't just model the network's growth. He modeled its purpose. The crystalline structure isn't just spreading. The simulation shows the silicon lattice creating intricate, fractal structures on the seafloor. They look less like a microbial colony and more like a circuit board the size of a continent. And here's the part that changes everything. The energy it's producing, the purple glow, isn't just exhaust. Thorne's model shows the energy being channeled, focused. It's powering the construction of something new. We have spent a century searching the stars for intelligent life. We built radio telescopes to listen for faint whispers from distant galaxies. And all that time, a life form of unimaginable complexity was waking up 7,500 meters beneath our feet. This isn't just a new species. It's a new kingdom of life, a second Genesis. It operates on principles we are only beginning to comprehend. It doesn't compete for resources in the way we do. It creates its own. And it doesn't communicate with sound or symbols, but with the fundamental geometry of its own being. And nobody is asking the real question: is this an extinction event, or is it a planetary immune response? The official story, the one you are still being told, is that this is a problem to be solved, A threat to be neutralized, but you cannot kill geology. You cannot fight a planetary process. The purple dust on Mateo's nets is a death sentence for his way of life. That is undeniable. But it is also a birth announcement. We see a silent, sterile ocean. It sees a clean slate, a world remade according to a different blueprint, a world without oxygen, but humming with a new kind of energy. For our entire history, we have asked